So my friend contacted me the other day, and it's in relation to her grandparents who have been visiting her in the UK for it's been about 2 months now. Unfortunately, their conditions have further deteriorated since they entered the UK, and the circumstances back home have changed as well. Is there any way that they can extend their stay in the UK, or any other way that they could be provided with any remedies?
Yes, so I'm assuming they came in on a visitor's visa to
Yes.
visit them. Okay. So if there is a medical condition and they require treatment, for example, for that condition, as long as they did not enter with an intention to obtain medical treatment, they can apply to extend their visitor's visa. There is an option. Uh, Obviously, additional evidence would be required, and is a matter for a separate video, which we have previously explained, and we can explain further. But if the circumstances back home have changed, or their condition has deteriorated to an extent that they are unable to go back, then they can make an application to stay in the UK for a longer period of time, even permanently. But that would depend on the circumstances. The application has to be made outside of the immigration rules. Under the immigration rules, there is a category called adult dependent relatives, and we have explained this category separately. This category is for an application outside the UK, so it's for an entry clearance application. If you, for example, require care, permanent care, and this care cannot be provided in your home country, there's certain other requirements as well, then you can make an application under this category. Threshold is, of course, very, very high. But if they are already in the UK and now circumstances have changed, so for example, if they had someone with them as a carer in the home country, or they were living with any of their offsprings and they have now left the country and they have no emotional support in that sense from their own family members, or their conditions, generally it does happen when you see your loved ones and you are with them, and the thought of going back, your condition obviously, if depending on your age, will have an impact on it. In these circumstances, as long as you can show that there are insurmountable obstacles, means there are grave difficulties to an extent that they will not be able to even survive if they go back, whether that means because of some medical condition, or because of the extreme old age, they require permanent help around the clock, and that can only be provided within the UK by the immediate family members. In this case, for example, your friend or your friend's parents. Then they can make an application asking Secretary of State to use their discretion in their favor. The decision or outcome would be based upon their circumstances and evidence they present. I strongly recommend that they do get some professional help in this case as well. For example, they can obtain medical evidence from, obviously they will not be entitled to medical treatment in the UK, so it'll have to be privately instructed. They can obtain evidence from a medical practitioner, a consultant, in terms of how badly their condition is now and how it will affect them if they go back in this under this condition. They can also obtain evidence from a social worker, for example, who can explain how round the clock help is required, and if this help is not provided, especially from immediate family members, then what type of effect, what kind of effect it will have on their condition, whether it will further deteriorate to an extent that they will be subject to inhuman treatment, for example, or they won't be able to even survive. So under these circumstances, discretion can be asked, and in many cases it is granted as well. They can get a leave from any time span from up to 2.5 years at a time. They can be put on a 10 years route to indefinite leave to remain even. So yes, there are options available depending on how bad the condition is, what evidence is there, what are the circumstances, and how they have changed, and how badly they have changed. So I hope that answers the question, and obviously it's fact sensitive, so we'll have to take these cases on case to case basis.